that if we did not come down from our pride, from our sinfulness, we will surely fall into the pit of destruction. In the existing division between good and evil, let us always stay in the side of goodness, and let us keep the fire burning in our hearts, so that we might be an effective missionary of the gospel and receive the reward of God's kingdom in the end of time. Boys A blessed day to you who is watching this video right now. I pray to God that God may grant you His outpouring graces and blessings, and whatever health problems you are undergoing right now, that God may touch you with His healing hand. Today, I want to share to you my homily for the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. In our Gospel today, Jesus said to His disciples, "Do you think that I have come to establish peace on earth? No, I tell you, but rather division." Maybe some of us might be scandalized with these words of Jesus, because it contradicts our understanding of who He is. He is the Prince of Peace. And yet, He is saying now that He will bring division. But what is this division really all about? The division has already existed actually from the very beginning of creation. It was the devil who created division because of sin. Man was being separated from God when man chose to stay in the opposite side. Since then, the war between good and evil, light from darkness, right from wrong, has begun and will continue until the end of time. When Jesus came, He wants to establish a strong force to combat against the enemy of God. If we are at war, then we should be prepared for some roughness. The enemy is also fighting against us, and we may suffer some hardships. The division is all about those who stand in the side of God and those who stand on the side of the enemy of God. In our first reading, Prophet Jeremiah was fighting against the false prophets who prophesied only what the king and his officials wanted to hear. But Jeremiah speaks nothing but the truth, and the king and his officials doesn't want to hear what he is saying. So they threw him in a cistern, a well of mud, to die of hunger. Same thing was happened also to Saint Thomas More. He was a public servant, a judge, a diplomat, and a member of the King of England's private council, and the king's favorite. But he is a person whose fidelity to God and commitment to justice and truth could not be compromised. In 1527, King Henry VIII, who was legally married to Catherine of Aragon, decided to marry Anne Boleyn. He forced the parliament to pass a bill stating that what he did was right and must declare publicly that it was right. Thomas More was told by the king to make the declaration. But St. Thomas More publicly disobeyed the king's manipulation. Then he was executed. Jesus said, "I have come to set the world on fire." So why did Jesus use the word fire as a symbolic term? In the Old Testament, fire is a symbol of God's presence among His people. In the New Testament, fire became a symbol of God's cleansing, purification, or transformation of a person to a more perfect state. The best example of this is the Pentecost, when the tongues of fire descended upon the apostles. The apostles transformed from a fearful man to a courageous missionaries. Fire can do a lot of things. Fire can make a soft clay to a strong pot. Fire can help bend a tough and strong iron. Fire can illumine dark places or rooms through a candle. So the message of Jesus is like a fire. It refines, it changes, it transforms. If we keep this fire burning, that means we are being loyal to Him. Being loyal to Jesus is what defines Christianity. We should always express our faith in any way we can. In the person of Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God. Our life should be an imitation of His life, teachings, and sacrifice on the cross. Because we really want to attain salvation, then we must be a faithful follower of Him. I remember the story of a kid with mental disorder who climbed a tall tree, then swing and jump from one branch to the other. The people who saw him was so afraid that he might fall and die. Everybody begged him to calm down, but the boy ignored them and continued playing. The people called the parents of the boy. The parents begged the boy also to calm down, but he just ignored his parents too. They called the policeman, but the boy just ignored all of them until they saw a priest who is passing by. They asked the priest if he can help them with the situation, and out of generosity, the priest agreed to their request. The priest is standing in front of a tall tree, looked up, and looked at the eyes of the kid. Then he made the sign of the cross. The kid immediately hurried down after that, and everybody admired what the priest did, and they asked him how he did that. The priest says, "I don't know. I just make the sign of the cross." And the kid immediately rushed down. So one from the crowd suggested to ask the kid instead why he immediately calmed down after what the priest did. The kid responded, "It is because that man says, if I did not calm down, he will cut the tree." It is quite a funny story, but it leaves a moral from the story, most especially to us followers of Christ, that if we did not come down from our pride, from our sinfulness, we will surely fall into the pit of destruction. In the existing division between good and evil, let us always stay in the side of goodness. And let us keep the fire burning in our hearts, so that we might be an effective missionary of the gospel and receive the reward of God's kingdom in the end of time. Amen.